them.
Livonia after Labor Day start, Tony?
Good evening and welcome to the August 17th South Lyon Community Schools Board of Education regular meeting. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Mr. Tell, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Dashner.
I am here.
Mr. Kennedy.
Here.
Mr. Schweigler.
Here.
I'm here. Mr. Leftwich.
Here.
Mr. Abate.
Here.
And Ms. Youngless-Pierce.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum tonight. Item number 2 is our Pledge of Allegiance. We have 3 special guests with us tonight. We have Molly, Kara, and Alice Hamill to lead the pledge, or maybe just 2 of them, but we'll see. Whenever you're ready, girls.
It's natural.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for leading us in the pledge. Just a quick announcement to our visitors here tonight. Typically, we have public comments early on in the meeting because of our teachers that were coming tonight for the hiring on the agenda. We moved that ahead in our agenda tonight, and public comments will be after the action items. Was there anybody here to speak publicly about anything other than our COVID plans? Okay. So with that, I will look for an approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it was moved by Mr. Abate, supported by Mr. Kennedy. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. Okay, next item we have is the approval of the minutes from the July 20th fiscal organization meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the July 20th, 2021 fiscal organizational regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, that was moved by Ms. Youngless-Pierce and second by Mr. Leftwich. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 5, approval of bills. Ms. Webb? That's right, you don't announce this. So we have the July 2021 wires and ACH transactions, July 2021 revenue report, and the August 2021 bond run to approve tonight. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll move to approve the bills as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we got it moved by Mr. Schweigler and second by Mrs. Youngless-Pierce. Is there any discussion or questions? Okay, Ms. Hertel, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Schweigler.
Yes.
Mr. Abate.
Yes.
Mr. Dashner.
I vote yes.
Ms. Youngless-Pierce.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
And Mr. Leftwich.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0. Item number 6, recommendation for hire. Mr. Toth?
Thank you. The resignation of Cody Rudolph as the assistant principal of South Lyon East High School in June created a vacancy for an assistant principal. The committee interviewed select candidates, and the district administrative team is recommending Mr. Matt Hamill as the next assistant principal at South Lyon East High School. Mr. Hamill was a teacher and coach in Niles, Michigan before moving to Waterford Mott High School, and then for the last 7 years he's served as an assistant principal at Lakeland High School in Huron Valley Schools. We are asking this evening that you approve the hiring of Matt as the assistant principal at South Lyon East as their next AP effective tomorrow. No pressure.
Thank you, Mr. Toth. Is there somebody who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Matt Hamill as the new assistant principal.
Support.
Okay, that was moved by Ms. Youngless-Pierce, supported by Mr. Tell. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Ms. Youngless-Pierce.
I vote yes.
Mr. Dashner.
I vote yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
I vote yes.
Mr. Abate.
Yes.
Mr. Schweigler.
Yes.
Mr. Leftwich?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0. Welcome to the district, Mr. Hamel.
Thank you very much. You're next.
Okay, item number 7 is hiring of instructional staff. Mr. Toth again?
Thank you. So it was kind of hard with so many of you here this evening to catch everybody. So if any of the new teachers are here that I didn't get a chance to talk to, apologies, and we'll try to catch you. But we'll definitely go through all of the new hires and just say a couple quick words. And then those of you that are here, if you don't mind standing when we get to you, that would be outstanding. So Lauren Corsi is a graduate of Eastern Michigan and Wayne State. She recently taught in Dearborn and will be teaching in our cognitively impaired program at South Lyon High School. I don't believe Lauren rolled in. Okay, welcome, Lauren. Amy Dawson is a graduate of Eastern Michigan and Oakland University. She also was very recently at Lakeland High School with Mr. Hamill, and she will be a counselor at South Lyon East. So welcome to Amy. Cheyenne Diadun is a Eastern Michigan graduate and recently taught in the Berkeley School District. She will be teaching science at South Lyon East. Anna Falar is a Spartan, and she will be teaching English at South Lyon High School. And Amber Fontana is a recent grad of Eastern Michigan University. She was recently teaching in Dearborn, and she will be teaching special education at the ECC. Madison Kelly is also a Spartan from Michigan State, and she also was a student at Central Florida recently, and she's worked in Florida and Martin, Michigan, and she is going to be a new counselor at Millennium Middle School. So far, so good. Did Mr. Top sneak in? Yes, he did. He's really hard to miss, by the way. So Jacob Top is the newest coach at South Lyon East. He's our football coach and is skipping out of practice for a hot minute. He's a recent grad of Grand Valley State and the University of Michigan, was a teacher in the Detroit Country Day Schools, and he'll be teaching social studies at East as well as serving as our varsity football coach at East. So welcome, Jacob. And also here is Nicole Firstnow. Nicole was a student at Concordia and the University of Michigan. She recently worked in the Plymouth Canton Community School District, and she will be a social worker at Bartlett, Brummer, and the ECC. Nicole, nice, thank you. Katie Kidd is a graduate of the U of M Dearborn and the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor. She recently worked in Plymouth Canton as well, and she'll be a social worker at Pearson and Kent Lake. Welcome, Katie. Allison Marchbanks is a Western Michigan Bronco and also did some time at Kendall College of Art and Design. She has recently worked in the Holly School District, and she will be teaching art at Centennial Middle School. Welcome, Allison. And last but not least, our new band director at Centennial and South Lyon High, Alec Okaskis, is a graduate of Western Michigan and the University of Michigan. Technically, he was a member of the U of M Symphony Orchestra, and prior to this, he too taught in Niles, Michigan for a hot year. So welcome, Alec. We do have a number of positions that are open as well, so we do have new teachers that will continue to come into our district, and we're excited to bring the ones that we shared with you this evening to the team. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toth. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the hiring of these teachers?
Totally forgot one, and this is probably the most important one. So, my bad. Representing the South Lyon High School graduate that is going to be teaching at East, which is going to be tough for her, Grace Hoffman. She will be teaching math at South Lyon East. Sorry, Grace. Nice to have one of our own come back. So great to have you, Grace, and sorry about that.
Any others?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move to hire the instructional staff as listed for the 2021-22 school year.
And I'll second.
I think I heard Mr. Leftwich first on that one. So moved by Mr. Kennedy, support by Mr. Leftwich to approve the hiring. Are there any comments or questions? Other than welcome to all the teachers. Mr. Telk, you call the roll, please.
Yes, Mr. Leftwich.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Schweigler?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Dashner?
I vote yes.
Ms. Yankelis Pierce?
I vote yes.
And Mr. Abate?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0. Okay, item number 8, course catalogs for secondary schools, 2021 and 2022. I believe that's Ms. Kudla?
Correct. Updated pupil accounting guidance requires that Michigan districts maintain a list of individual courses that have received board approval, and the district must be able to provide those approval dates. The district brings each new course for board approval as it is adopted, but you can imagine that if we are audited, it would be a cumbersome process to go back through and find the exact date and the evidence for each one of those approvals. In an effort to streamline our documentation for those audit purposes, the course catalogs for all 4 secondary schools are being brought for information and approval. New to the course descriptions is a statement indicating whether the course may be offered as a virtual learning pathway course. The course catalogs will be brought for approval on an annual basis under this new guidance. And we are recommending that you approve the proposed secondary course catalogs for the 21-22 school year as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Kudwa. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed secondary course catalogs for the 21-22 school year as presented.
I'll support that.
Okay, it's moved by Mrs. Yankelis Pierce, supported by Mr. Kennedy. Is there any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, can you call the roll, please, Mrs. Ertel?
Yes. Mr. Dashner?
I vote yes.
Mr. Abate?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Leftwich?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Schweigler?
Yes.
And Ms. Yankelis Pierce?
I vote yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0. Item 9 is the Oakland County School Board Association Member District Ballot 2021 Resolutions Vote. I did forward this to you earlier today, earlier last week. Basically, we have 2 different things. This one is for the resolutions of what the Oakland County School Board Association is, what their focus is for the upcoming year. I looked through it, I didn't see a lot on there that was different from previous years. We as a board either need to support or not support the motion or the resolutions. And I guess I would propose that if somebody is comfortable to make a motion to support it, if that passes, we will fill out the ballot saying we reported it, and if it fails, we will say we did not support it. So if anyone is willing to make a motion,
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 resolutions for the OCSBA resolutions as presented.
Support.
okay, that was moved by Ms. Yankelis Pierce and supported by Mr. Tell. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Tell, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Yankelis Pierce?
I vote yes.
Mr. Abate?
Yes.
Mr. Leftwich?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Schweigler?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
And Mr. Dashner?
I vote yes. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 10 is similar, but it's the bylaw changes for the Oakland County School Board Association. Most of the bylaw changes seem to be mostly administrative. They did add in a new section that was adding a quorum measurement to the committee meetings, just to ensure that no one district could take over a committee and move business forward. So we will proceed with this the same way. If we make a motion to support and it passes, we will support the amendment. If it fails, we will not support.
I'll move to approve the bylaws for the OCBSA member district ballot.
No second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Kennedy, supported by Mr. Leftwich. Any comments, concerns, questions? Okay, Mr. Tell, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Abate?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Dashner?
I vote yes.
Mr. Schweigler?
Yes.
Mr. Leftwich?
Yes.
Ms. Yankelis Pierce?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0. Okay, this brings us to our information and inquiry section, and we do have our public comments listed here. Before we get started, I wanted to share a message with all of you. Obviously, we have a lot of people here tonight. I suspect a lot of you want to speak tonight, and we welcome that. We want to hear what each of you have to say, and we're willing to stay here as long as we have to get it done. In order for us to be able to do that, we need each of you to remain respectful of each other's opinions and views. their positions, our board, our staff, and our time limits. We'd ask you to please consider your comments so we can conduct our meeting in a professional manner. Please remember, you're speaking publicly, you're being live streamed, and it'll be recorded and available on YouTube. I trust that each of you will remain respectful and allow others to speak without audience comments or interruptions. Assuming that most or not all of you or comments are related to masking, this is one of the most divisive issues we have seen. Please advocate for your position. Attacking people with other views and using inflammatory labels or calling them names provides no benefit and only serves to further divide and inflame people. Please keep your comment to your position and why you feel strongly about it. Support your cause, don't attack others. Anyone that is speaking needs to fill out a yellow card. I have 3 of them so far, so if anybody else is speaking, please bring them forward and we'll call you up in the order that I have them. Once you come to the microphone, I ask you to please introduce yourself. We will allow you up to 3 minutes to talk. I ask that you respect the time limits so we can get through this. If this goes long, the board or the administration may request we take a break for probably restroom purposes, just so you're aware of that. If anybody does need a break, please let me know after somebody finishes comments. So with that, we'll get started. The first card I have is for Todd Slicher. If you'd like to come up and make your comment, please. Yes, right up here.
Well, thank you very much, members of the board and of the administration. As stated, my name is Todd Slicher. I'm the father of 2 boys that are going to Millennium Middle School in 7th grade, so very happy that they're going to be there. Our students had a hard time last year, as did, I think, a lot of students, with the multiple switches between virtual and in-person and, going back and forth. None of us really want to go through that again. But all of our students, the choice of whether to attend virtually or whether to attend in person is actually an individual choice. It's a choice that the parents can make. We thank you for providing that option for kids that are in the school. However, personally, I think the best course for my kids is in-person education in the schools. It is more effective, I feel, and much more the environment is very important for them. But that said, the school environment needs to be safe. We need to keep our kids safe in school, and safety is paramount. Now, how do we keep our kids safe in school? Now, with the rising cases of the Delta variant, we know a lot more about COVID this year, and we've learned a lot over the years. But you, as administrators on the board, have received guidance on how to keep our kids safe. The CDC, the American Association of Pediatrics, and MDHHS have all passed down guidance that have applied science, looked at the principles, and then set forth guidelines for you to follow in your schools. These are the experts. These are not people that are looking at social media. These are the people that know what they're doing. Now, all 3 agree that what we need to do to keep students safe. One thing is vaccinations for all that are old enough, including staff, layered prevention strategies like physical distancing, screenings, testings, contact tracing, hand washing. And all 3 of these organizations agree that indoor universal masking is necessary for a safe school environment. Now, I'm going to go quote directly, really quickly, from their 3 statements. These are the latest updates. From the CDC, I quote, "Due to the circulation and highly contagious Delta variant, CDC recommends universal indoor masking by all students, staff, teachers, and visitors to K-12 schools, regardless of vaccination status." From the American Association of Pediatrics, I quote, "All students older than 2 years and all school staff should wear face masks at school." From the MDHHS, MDHHS recommends that all schools adopt policies to require universal masking for all students, staff, and visitors, regardless of community transmission rate or vaccination status. That's directly from their guidance that they put forth for schools. Yet your announced policy, which was discussed at your last July board meeting, leaves out most of these recommendations, safety messages and recommendations, and most important, does not require universal masking in our schools. Probably the simple, most effective step you could take. So, who are you going to fasten your policies around? Who are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the experts, or are you going to listen to loud voices? I really ask you to show some courage to apply the science that our students learn in school that are being taught And we really appreciate it if you would change your policy and require universal masking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slicher. Up next, we have Valerie, I believe it's Harrison. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for letting me speak. Members of the board,
If you could move closer to the microphone, please.
thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the board, the Centers for Disease Control, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services have all recommended universal masking, vaccines, and a layered prevention strategy for combating COVID-19. I keep hearing that the South Lyon Community Schools Board will not enforce any of these, or in the case of vaccines, even recommend them due to undue influence, unless the MDHHS mandates them. It's apparent that due to vicious partisan politics, the MDHHS either will not or cannot mandate anything. They're kicking the can down the road to you, which is not fair, but it's reality. They have, however, told you the right thing to do. Have layered protection strategies, including physical distancing, screening and testing, recommending vaccines, wearing masks, contact tracing, quarantines, among others. You are not doing almost any of these, despite the clear evidence that they're necessary. Doing the right thing is not always popular, nor is it expedient. But this is what I'm asking you to do. My children are old enough to get the vaccines themselves, and they have, because it's the right thing to do for themselves, and it's the right thing to do for their community. There are people who cannot get vaccinated, and we are doing the right thing to protect them and the community. I will refer back to the South Lyon Community Schools mission statement. In support of our community, the mission of the South Lyon Community Schools is to provide the highest quality educational process so that all students can excel as individuals and become contributing members of society. The lack of prevention strategies that you're promoting do not support the community. They do not provide high-quality education and do not allow students to excel. As COVID-19 continues to spread, we'll be in a merry-go-round of school closures, hybrid classes, and community infection, which does not support the consistent in-person education that our children deserve. And so I implore you to please change your policies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrison. Up next, we have Joe Cosmano.
Of course.
Hi, I'm Joe Cusumano. 189 families and/or parents in 6 days, all willing to publicly support your return to school plan for this fall in an open letter to the administration and to the board. There are even more families adding their name daily to our letter, and I just provided the board with an updated letter and additional names from what we emailed you yesterday. A key aspect of your return to school plan and the reason for such broad support for this is that it includes a full 5-day face-to-face environment where masks are optional. In our open letter, we did our best to detail the 3 very important reasons why you have our support, and you'll continue to have our support for optional masks throughout the year. The reasons are documented pretty clearly. I'll briefly mention them again here. First, educational excellence matters. We learned this last year. Educational excellence cannot be accomplished when the district is acting like an extension of the health department. 2, we do not trust the health departments anymore to have our children's best interests in mind with regard to education or the education environment. We simply do not accept their mandates or guidance any longer. 3, COVID case data is irrelevant and should not be used as a public policy metric moving forward. CDC data is available daily on their website. It shows how hospitalizations are so statistically low relative to either case data or population that it's become completely irrelevant. I have a higher likelihood of dropping dead right now of a heart attack than I do of being hospitalized of COVID. Each of these equal one simple fact. The air we breathe as individuals and the air that our children exhale while in a classroom is not an existential threat to society, period. It is so hard for many of us to imagine why this is even a debate. What our children exhale is not dangerous to anyone, not in this room, anywhere. So please, let's stop pretending that it is. Look, we all know moving forward into the fall, into the winter, and even today, you're going to get pressure to increase, the pressure is going to increase for mandatory masking. And those of us that signed the letter, and I imagine many of us here today, want to clearly and loudly say thank you for starting the year with optional masking. Thank you for a reasonable approach. You'll have our unwavering support to keep masking optional throughout the entire year. So please, hold the line. Don't change your policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cosmano. Up next, we have Carmen McAllister, I believe it is.
Nothing like following vigorous applause with the opposite position. Excellent. My name is Carmen McAllister. Hey, Mr. Kennedy.
Hi, Carmen.
Your plans to mitigate the spread of COVID in our schools last year worked. The numbers the district shared at the end of the year were overwhelmingly positive. My kids were virtual, but I was relieved and excited for everyone. And back in June, it was encouraging to see how the county risk level was moderate. That looks yellow on all those, CDC maps. And we started to imagine a fall that was closer to normal, but like so many things during this pandemic, that has changed. Like I said, in late June, everything looked great. The 7-day average of new cases was around 100, a really low percentage of tests were positive. But of course, in the weeks since, those numbers have increased. The 7-day average last week, Wednesday, was more than 1,100 new cases. And there were 859 patients in hospitals, and those numbers were about double what the numbers were in the previous week. Child hospitalizations are also at the highest that they've been during the whole pandemic, and they're on the rise. So I'm asking the board to consider adopting some sort of a tiered or a multi-stage plan. You might have seen this. I think Celine approved one that was similar to this, where it would vary depending on Oakland County's risk level. So right now it looks like we'd be at the very high risk level, which is red on all the maps, to start the year. So for example, that would probably mean things like masks would be mandatory, classes would eat in their classrooms. And then once Oakland County moves down to the high or the substantial levels of risk for 2 weeks, that's the orange level, we'd move to a plan where maybe masks are optional but strongly encouraged, and hopefully before long we'll have vaccines for the youngest students and return to the yellow level where masks are optional and probably only required in places like on the bus. There are also schools using a timed approach where masks are required in elementary schools until there's a vaccine available for kids who are under 12. And then there's also the option of masked classrooms, individual classrooms that are masked, but I can understand how logistically that's probably quite a headache. I don't expect to change anyone's minds about masks, but I will say that this is temporary. It just feels like forever. But having everyone wear masks is a response to the current climate. As someone else mentioned, the Delta variant is almost twice as contagious as the Alpha version that was circulating last year. We're trying to roll back protections at a time when we need to do the exact opposite and be even more vigilant this year because it's spreading even more rapidly. It's being called the pandemic of the unvaccinated, and right now that includes all of our kids under 12. I'm thankful that there's a virtual option, but it isn't equitable and isn't possible for many families where both parents are working. Masks will help keep schools open. The county has just said that people don't have to quarantine after an exposure if you're vaccinated and both parties were masked. We've seen how school closings affect the economy because parents can't work or it's hard to secure emergency childcare, and we can help prevent that. You should have never been put in this position by our county or state, but I hope the board makes the right decision for our kids, our school district, and our community tonight. Thanks.
Thank Thank you, Ms. McAllister. Believe it or not, that's all the cards I have. I'm expecting there's got to be more. Thank you. Okay, Stephanie Petch. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to wait till you walked away. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Stephanie Petch, resident of South Lyon. I have now 2 kids going to the schools. I wasn't planning on speaking. All of you, I think, probably received an email from me earlier today, so you know my stance. But I am here just to, again, say that I support your recommendation for the back-to-school plan that you currently have approved. The one thing that I just want to say is the health department, whomever, the people that a lot of us don't trust anymore, who have been making these recommendations for masks, that's all they are. They're a recommendation. I feel that your plan has taken that into consideration. For those parents who want their kids masked, you can mask them. If I don't want my kids masked, I don't have to mask them. And in my email I stated earlier, I may decide to mask my kids. I may decide not to, but it's going to be my choice. They're my kids. I know what's best for my kids. You know what's best for your kids. You know what's best for your kid. Let me make that decision until someone says it's a requirement. Until we're told that this is a requirement, keep it with the recommendation and let everyone be happy. I feel like there was a lot lost last year, and this is how my kids want to start the school, with at least the recommendation, the option. This is how I want them to start school. Until we're told differently, until we're forced to do something differently, keep it this way. I fully support it, and I hope that you stick to your guns, just like someone else had said. Be strong, be the leader, do what parents and citizens are asking you to do, and that's to give us a choice for our own kids, and leave it in our hands. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Petch. Next, we have Gino Montes.
Hi, Gino Montes, resident of South Lyon. I wasn't prepared to do this today. I didn't even know about it till just a few hours ago, actually. Everyone keeps talking about the science behind masks. I yet to see it. All I know is that masks, and what I've read, I've done tons of research. I'm not going from one party to another. It's just research I've done. They don't work, okay? I've seen my kid last year on the 4 days he would go. He'd come home, his mask was filthy, and it was on his face all day. Then he would tell me that, he'd pull it down because it would stink or whatever from playing, and he would get yelled at because he had to put it back up. That is getting more germs into them than anything, again, with the science. The CDC, who people are calling them professionals, or the experts, they flip-flop. Wear masks. Oh, no, don't wear masks. No, now you have to wear masks. Now you have to put 2 masks on. Actually, make it 1. No, now you don't have to wear them for a bit again. It's just a bunch of garbage, in my opinion. My kid was very, very active, very social. With the whole distancing and masks and you can't play with your friends, he started where we would get together with people and he would be shy. Put his head down. He didn't know how to interact with people. So when people are talking about, again, the science, I would like to see the science that proves that this works, that masks work. I've seen tons of science that say the complete opposite. And again, if you want to send your kids to school with masks because you're afraid, great, send them with masks. But don't make our kids lose their childhood over not being able to play with friends, having to be masked up all day long. Because guess what? As soon as they get home, they take them off. They're playing with their friends, and they're just going back to school the next day to throw a mask back on. And my kid didn't even want to go to school. He kept crying every day, I don't want to wear a mask, you know, and then we have to sit there searching for a mask in the morning before sending him in. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. And again, keep your kid home if you're afraid, or put a mask on them. But the rest of us, just let the kids be kids and enjoy. So, that's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Montes. Up next, we have Sue Young.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I am Sue Young. I have a junior at South Lyon High. And I'll just be honest with you, sometimes she chooses to wear a mask, and that's totally fine with me, but I'm here to advocate for people that want the choice to wear a mask. As a parent, I appreciate our superintendent and school board's stance on allowing parents to decide to mask or not mask their kids, and I hope you don't give in to any pressure to return to what most of us want to put behind us, mandatory masking. I won't deny anyone their right to mask or vaccinate, so don't deny me my right to choose not to mask or vaccinate. For those who are COVID adverse, there is a choice, the virtual learning plan. For those who believe masks and/or vaccines are the answer, then they can certainly have those options. If some believe masks are the answer and you mask your child, isn't that good enough? Why force it on the rest of us? Those who have anxiety attacks about a bunch of non-masked children running around with their masked kids, maybe they should think about the virtual plan. Then there are those who don't want the fears of others dictating policy and violating their right to choose. Say no to recommendations and mandates. If forced with a decision to reconsider the policy of voluntary masking, I hope you challenge any agency recommending mandatory masking to show their science, and then be ready to share that science with the rest of us, because we all have a right to see it. I looked at the data on the Michigan.gov coronavirus website just to make sure I was getting some numbers right and I wasn't misspeaking. What I found out about school-aged children, for age group 0 to 9, there have been 37,077 cases of COVID. Of those 37,000, they were not able to publish the deaths because they suppressed the data if it's 5 or less. So they didn't say. For the age group 10 to 19, 110,230 cases, resulting in 15 deaths. The math works out to 0.0136%. Not 1%, not 1/10%, but 1/100% since they started keeping data. COVID poses little to no risk to our children. Masking will not make COVID go away. In the communication sent out a few weeks ago, you mentioned protocols will be reevaluated if local conditions change or upon receipt of additional recommended guidance. Well, conditions would have to drastically change, I would hope, and the science and data must support it. And there's that word, recommendation. The policy you have now is a compromise. Let's hope we can stick with it, and parents and teachers can work together to make this a great school year for our kids. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Chris Campo, you're up next.
Hello, thank you, Chris Campo. I have to be honest, when I walked in to see all of you in masks, I was really shocked. But when I took a minute to think about it, I respect that, because these are our choices. And that's all we're here for, is to advocate for choices for the return to school, just like we did last year. Every person that's here, the majority of the people are here, is to advocate for the superintendent's current return to school plan. We support you, we are with you, and we want to return exactly the way you have it laid out right now. And all of you are in masks by choice. So if I want to send my child to school in a mask because he or she wants to be in a mask, that's what I want to do without any negative connotation. You guys didn't receive any negative connotation. I mean, when I walked in, was like, what are they doing in masks? But then think about it, it's a choice. So we appreciate that. The thing that we have to think about is, if you're gonna mask our kids in school and then they leave school and can go to a Ford Field football game for the Lions and not be masked, where's the reality in that? Where does that make sense? You know, why are we gonna mask our kids in school and then they leave school and they can be with their friends or play football or go to a Comerica Park or go to a Ford football game or go to a grocery store? I mean, you guys are in masks. I'm assuming that you're gonna be in masks at any outdoor, indoor activities going forward at football games. You're choosing to wear a mask now indoors. So going forward, will you be masked? Those are my questions to you. So please, please, don't mask our kids if it's not mandated. It's a recommendation. They can leave school and go anywhere in the state of Michigan and not be masked. So to put them in masks in school after what they endured last year is insanity to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Campo. Next, we have Dan Argenti. Toddy? Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you very much for your statement on making masks optional. And I think it's a great way to start off the year and hopefully continue the remainder of the year with masks being optional. Just want to bring some things to your attention. I see you're all in masks, and I was kind of surprised as well when I saw that, because I'm assuming you're all vaccinated, but yet you're wearing masks. We've had, so far to date, 185 million people that have tested positive for COVID. Tested positive. Many of them weren't sick. Many of them were tested through sports programs where they took their test, found out they had COVID. Many were sick with COVID. 182 million people. On top of that, 30 to 40% they're claiming, if you look at the sites, government sites, are asymptomatic. 30% of the population is asymptomatic that has COVID, on top of the 182 million that have tested positive. Now, these people got COVID, they were wearing masks. This is all during the lockdowns, when the mask mandates were going on. How did they get COVID if these masks work? These masks are not a vaccine. They're not a cure-all. Let's stop treating them that way. Dr. Fauci even said it 2 times, and I'm not taking this out of context. You can look it up, that masks don't work. He said it twice. And in Michigan, we had very strict mask mandates through the governor's office. We had one of the highest numbers for 2 months in the entire United States, and everybody was masked up, and we had a lockdown for a 2-month period. And we see different numbers in Florida right now, in states that didn't have mandates and states that did. It's just fluctuating from state to state, okay? It's clearly the masks are not preventing anything here. I spent 18 years in the hazardous waste chemical industry, and I'm very familiar with masks, various types of masks. These masks here that we're wearing, you could never wear them on any kind of a site, chemical site, hazardous waste site, and they're not protecting air. You need what they call a fit-tested mask. You've got a bridge here with these types of masks at your nose. You've got spaces here. I see people with beards wearing masks like this. It's beyond, I don't even understand what they're thinking. And air is getting in the sides and it's coming through here, not to mention through your eyes, okay? That's how viruses are getting into these folks that get COVID. That's why we've had 182 million test positive for COVID to date. So they're doing very little, if anything, at all. Now, sure, if I'm talking and something, some water comes out of my mouth and it hits you in the mask here, it's going to prevent that from going in your mouth. But when it becomes part of the air, and you're breathing, and I'm walking by you, it's coming through the sides of your mouth, just like water and air. They find the easiest pathway, okay? And that's how it's occurring. If you look at these numbers I just told you, all these people, 182 million, it's a colossal failure, these masks. They have not worked. They're not a vaccine. We need to stop treating them like they're some kind of a cure-all. Let these kids go to school so they can concentrate on learning. They have a year and a half of lost learning to make up, and we can't have them distracted with a mask all day long. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like there's Erin Owens next.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to talk. I didn't plan on saying anything either, so I don't have a script or data, but I do know that I have a child who was in elementary school last year, and it was very difficult. I felt so bad for all the kids that had to wear a mask. They couldn't go out to recess with other classes. They were just isolated. I mean, it wasn't an experience at all, really, but I'm thankful that we had a choice between virtual and in person. And also, I would be very grateful if there was an option to mask our kids or not. I'm not getting my kids vaccinated because, first of all, it's not FDA approved, but anyway, my point is, my kids don't have that, and I'm still comfortable with them being around other kids. The flu is really bad every year, every winter, except this last one, and it went away. But anyway, there are illnesses that they're exposed to every day, and I'm pretty sure having them masked and kept away from everyone only hurt their immune system, really. But I agree with what this gentleman here said. If you're not comfortable sending your kids to school with kids that aren't wearing masks, there is a virtual option. And that we should not have to wear masks because other people are not comfortable with that. Just like, don't ask me to wear an umbrella or use an umbrella so you don't get wet. That doesn't make sense. So I do thank you, and I hope that we can follow the protocol that you have right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. I'm out of cards. There are more. I gotta believe there's more.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'd like to speak.
If you'd like to speak, you can come to the microphone and fill out a card after you're done.
Okay, sure will. Thank you. My name is Tiana Smith.
Sorry, I just arrived and I don't have anything prepared, but I would like to say thank you for putting out your plan that gave us the opportunity to have masks be optional, so that we can either choose to put our kids in a mask if we thought it was right for our children, or we can say, go ahead today and be free without your mask and communicate with other people as you would every other day. I think it's important for a couple of reasons. Let's be honest, kids are dirty. Like, they should be eating their own boogers and like making mud pies and stuff. I'm sorry, these are like, most of them are elementary kids. They're supposed to get into dirt. They're supposed to be around other people. That's how their body naturally develops antibodies and immunities so that they can fight off whatever they come across in the world. That's how God intended it. Like, it's the way our bodies work. We're not supposed to be covering them up and taking them away from people and try to take away every living virus that's out there so that they can't fight it. They need the opportunity to fight it, and they need to do it now while they're young so that they're not this 70-year-old generation that can't fight off the virus when it comes around because it's too strong for them. I don't want it to be too strong when they get 70. I want them to have a 70-year-old life where they're off, vacationing in Italy with their wives and having a great time and not worried about some virus that came along. I want them to continue to develop antibodies and catch colds and flus. And my kids caught COVID. They were fine. I'm okay with it. Like, I feed them good. I give them good food. I make sure they exercise. If I can put in a plug for getting the Spark program back to getting our kids exercising more, please, let's do things to keep our kids healthy and not take them away from just developing normal antibodies through life, as we all had the opportunity to do. In addition, masks are, they stop people from being able to see your facial expressions. Like, I can't see any of your facial expressions. I can see your eyes. I don't know if you're smiling. I don't know if you're pouting. I don't know if you're mad. I am losing the ability to communicate with you because I can't see all of you. And I would love to see all of you. It's okay that you have a mask on, and I understand that, but as children are trying to learn how to develop social behaviors and learn how to communicate with other people that are their age, it's very difficult, and I noticed it myself over the last year, when they can't see faces. You know, my son would, you know, pull on my shirt and say, "Mom, are they smiling at me or are they mad?" I'm like, "It's okay, honey. I think they're smiling. You got to look at their eyes. You can't see their face, but it's okay. I think they're smiling." We're not supposed to communicate this way. We should be able to see faces because they have a lot of facial expressions that help us with social behaviors. And please don't take that away from our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lees. Up next, we have Lauren Gerardo?
Gerardo, yeah.
Gerardo, okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lauren Gerardo. I had 3 kids at Pearson last year, and I actually took a COVID building floating position at Pearson last year. So my kids had the choice to go to school.
Sorry, that's not for you.
And that's it, I'm done. No, and I mean, I'm just standing here saying, like, I've done my part. I've seen what masks do to these kids in school. My husband is currently deployed. He is a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, and he is in Africa and the Middle East currently as we speak. He is fighting for freedom and choice, and that is what we're asking for, freedom and choice, okay? He would be here right now saying the exact same thing as I did. Him and I both signed the letter that was sent to the board and the superintendent. All we are asking for is choice in this matter, and let us parent our children. Thank you.
Thank you, and please tell your husband thanks for his service. Up next, we have Zachary McMahon.
Hello, I am Zachary McMahon. I am a student at Millennium Middle School, and last year school was very hard. We had to wear masks, and we couldn't be near basically anybody. And I would like to have the option to wear masks this year, because I want to be around people, and I don't want to have to be stuck with a mask on. That I have heard and seen that doesn't help. And that's why I want the option to wear masks. Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary. We always appreciate when our students come talk to us. Thank you. Who's next? Thank you. You can step right to the mic.
Hi, my name is Kim Argenti. First of all, I want to say thank you for the return to school plan that you have right now in place for the option for the masks. We really appreciate it, and we're really here to make sure you stick to it. So, on that note, I want to read something to you. This is a quote, it's an anonymous quote. It says, "Numbers never lie. Statistics, charts, percentages, they don't contain hidden agendas or shades of gray. They're pure and true. It isn't until people start meddling with them, spinning and shaping them, that they become dishonest." There are obviously 2 very strong sides to this. I get it. And each side will bring their own credible data, their own charts and stats and everything to say this is better than this. All we're asking for is a choice. Give us a choice. Just like you give those who want to do in-person or virtual choice. We want a choice. I am the best advocate for my child. Not you, not the CDC, not MDHHS, me and my family, me and my husband. I know what's best for them. And it's whether it's wear a mask or not wear a mask, I need to make that decision. I'm going to leave you with one thing. I'm going to ask you something real quick. Does anybody remember the story that hit back in June of the Subway tuna story? Anybody remember that story? There was a story that said, oh, the Subway tuna sandwich didn't have real DNA, didn't have real tuna, and it sounded pretty disgusting. If you ate at Subway, you might reconsider eating at Subway, knowing that. Did anybody also hear the story of the parents that sent their kids masks, a group of parents down in Florida that sent their kids masks to a laboratory down there. Did you hear that story too? Did you hear what the results were of it? 11 dangerous pathogens were found on those masks after one day. Some things I can't even say. Streptococcus pneumonia. I don't know, I can't even say this stuff. But knowing that, after the end of the day, that's what they're finding, why are we masking our children? Or if people want to do that, that's fine. Just give us a choice. Give us a choice. Keep the option. Stick with the plan. Keep the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Argenti. Who's next? There's a bunch here. There's got to be more. Thank you.
So I wasn't planning on speaking. My son just spoke, and I got to say I'm very proud of him for speaking. He said what he needed to say, and he got in front of here and just said that he wants an option. And when I told the children, I have 2 kids in the South Lyon School District. I have one at Salem Elementary and one who is going to be in 8th grade this year at Millennium Middle School. When I told them the return to school plan, both of them were elated and so excited that they were given the option to wear a mask or not to wear a mask if they wanted to. And just to speak to the masks as far as elementary students, my son Miles, every single day he would come home, his mask was soaking wet in spit. It had food particles. It smelled. It was absolutely disgusting. He was in that all day, every day, face-to-face learning. And every day he would come home, he would be relieved to take it off, and he would tell me, I just want to see my friends' faces. I don't know when I'm not going to be able to wear a mask, Mom. I just want to see my friends' faces. I want to play with my friends. I want to be able to be next to them and just see them smile. I miss seeing people's smiles. I miss seeing people's faces. And I just want to go to school again, like in kindergarten. He is going to be in 2nd grade. The only time that he had school as a real student was the first half of his kindergarten year. That is it. My son has only been able to enjoy school for the first half of his kindergarten year, and then the second half he went virtual. The first half of 1st grade he was virtual, and the second half they had all the protocols for COVID, which we followed, but it made him sad. And this year when I told him about your opening plan, I can't even explain the smile that just went across his face, because he gets to see other people's smiles again, and he gets to see his friends' faces. And I just want to say thank you for letting them have the option and letting parents have the option to choose what's best for their kids, mask or no mask, virtual or in person. Thank you, and I truly hope that you guys keep this reopening strategy, because the kids, you heard it from one of my own, are extremely excited about this opening and are extremely excited about having the options and having the right to choose. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Next. Hey, Carrie. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I was not planning on speaking. I thought I'd stay silent tonight, but then sometimes I just get moved by all the words. First of all, as always, thank you. I know when I stand up here, I give you a reminder that I do work in a school. It definitely is. It really should be a choice for masking, and I'll tell you why. Because I wore a mask 8 hours a day, every single day, and I am a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and I have never felt worse in my entire life wearing a mask all day, hands down. So, it being an option, a choice, is enormous, just to have the choice for our kids. When my son plays football, there's a choice of a helmet. You can buy one, it's $900. Or you can take the school helmet, right? I'm not gonna tell you that you're a terrible parent because you're gonna get the school helmet, but I'm gonna get the $900 one, because my choice is better, right? I'm the better parent. I'm going to protect my kid's head. He's never going to have a concussion, yada, yada. It's a choice. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, and I hope you keep it as the choice.
Thank you, Ms. Bristol. Who's next? Going? Okay. Does anybody need a break before we move into our next section?
No.
No? Okay. So we'll move into our administration. Legislation. Superintendent Archibald?
If you want, folks, the next part's real exciting. I don't know if you want to stay or not, but Zachary, I do want to thank you, young man, for coming to the podium to speak. Regardless what your comments are or your position, students' voice is huge in this district, and it is not easy to speak in front of a group of adults. And so you have my utmost respect for the job you did tonight. So thank you. You won't be disrespectful if you got up and left at this point. You're welcome to stay, but.
Thank you. Okay, Superintendent Archibald, legislation, do we have anything?
Nothing to report this evening on legislation.
Okay, thank you. Board committee reports, legislative, Mr. Leftwich?
Nothing, sir.
Easy enough. Mr. Abate with policy.
We have our first meeting, I believe, will be September, correct? Yep.
Okay, finance, Mr. Schwegler?
We ended up canceling due to no new information.
Okay, facilities and grounds, Mr. Tell?
Yes, we had a meeting with an update on the projects that are coming up, happening, and about to move forward. Hopefully people are on our social media and have seen pictures of the East football field, which has been completed, which looks fantastic. They're also working on multiple playgrounds around the district, so the kids will have some fun new things to climb all over and have a good time on. We have multiple projects in the schematic design phase, lighting upgrades throughout the district, early childhood center addition, Bartlett Elementary addition. We have some projects that will be starting this fall. I know for sure the auxiliary gym at East, and I can't remember what else. I think there's maybe, no, parking lots are finishing up.
Pool?
I don't think that starts till next year, the
Okay.
South Lyon pool. I believe there's a couple other, just follow the social media, we've got postings on that. So other than that, we're moving forward and looking forward to projects getting started and continuing.
Thank you, Mr. Tell. Curriculum and communications, Mr. Kennedy?
We have not met yet, so I have nothing new to report.
Okay. Superintendent Archibald, is there any other?
Nothing under other, President Dashner.
Okay, thank you. South Lyon Education Foundation, is that Mr. Abate or Mrs. Younkless Pierce tonight?
I have been unable to attend as of late, so I'm gonna.
Okay. The kindergarten welcome bags are ready to go and will be going out to all of our incoming kindergartners, and we have a significant number this year, so that's very good for the students coming into the district. They'll be passed out at the kindergarten welcome events. The foundation will be at some of the upcoming movie nights that are hosted by South Lyon Rec, And they are starting to plan for their Boo Bowling that will occur in, I think it's October 10th. So they'll be looking for sponsors for that. But amazing the number of sponsors that participated in the kindergarten welcome bag. So huge thank you to our community for all the support on that.
Thank you. Yeah, the community never ceases to amaze me. Very generous. So item 14 is our correspondence. There were several resignations listed there. Item number 15 is the meeting dates for the remainder of the school year. Then item number 16, public comments. Any of you that stuck it out, interested in making public comments? Okay, seeing none, we will go to board comments. Mr. Leftwich, would you like to start us out?
Yes, I would, and I have no comments, Mr. Dashner.
Sounds like a comment, though. Mrs. Yonkelis Pierce?
First, I'd like to thank everyone who did come out to voice their position. Please, everyone know that we read every single email. Mr. Dashner does reply when it comes to the whole board on our behalf, but every single one of us reads every single email from our community, and we listen to every comment that does come before us. So I really want to thank you all for coming out, as well as Zachary, one of our students speaking up. It's great to hear. I respect choice, and Ms. Campo, like you said, you know, I am choosing to wear a mask, and I think that all parents have the right to choose what is correct for their families. And, you know, I think a big frustration last year was choice got taken away from parents, they felt like, in August. And so I am happy to see that we are giving everyone a choice. Maybe that doesn't make everybody happy, and, you know, the choices that one makes isn't going to make another happy, but I think if we're respectful of everyone's choices, then that's a great thing. And, you know, I think we just all need to encourage, because I've seen a few comments, parents worried that other kids are going to make fun of kids who choose to wear a mask, and maybe vice versa. So I think it would benefit us all as parents if we just talk to kids, say everyone is getting a choice, and we need to respect choice. And, you know, we do have a very strong anti-bullying policy in place, so if those do arise, we have mechanisms to deal with those matters. I'd like to congratulate Matt Hamill as our new assistant principal, and I'd like to congratulate all of the new hires. It's great to see a lot of our open positions are being filled, and we'll be ready to serve the students in our district.
Thank you. Mr. Schwegler, would you like to go next?
Sure. Compared to some of the videos of other board meetings around the country, this went pretty well today. There's been some crazy ones out there. So thanks everyone for being respectful of each other and of the opposing viewpoints. I think I can say with certainty that we all just want what's best for kids, period. We all want them to be in the classroom 5 days a week because that's where they're going to get the best experience. We do recognize that we want it to be done safely. You know, a lot of people talk about data. I think that's been the biggest problem that both sides tend to have. What do you trust? There's been a lot of flip-flopping as new information is learned or as different agendas kind of take precedence as to what message they want to put out there. So it's hard. I get it. Both sides have a hard time really knowing what to believe. You do your own research. Sometimes you get a credible source. Sometimes you don't. And it's just hard for people to really come around and get on the same page. With that said, what I do know, I thought that Mr. Archibald and his team did a fantastic job last winter getting actual data from our district. And I think this is the one thing I can say with confidence. We know what worked last year to make sure that the spread didn't happen within schools. We can't pinpoint it to one specific thing, but we do know that very few people who ended up with the quarantine actually got COVID. And that's because of all of the different measures we had. It seemed to be that it may have been over-restrictive because of how few quarantine kids got COVID. So we still have a lot of mitigation efforts in place this year, and we're changing a few things. And I fully trust that Mr. Archibald is going to continue to watch this. And I will trust that we won't end up in a situation like some of the schools in the South, where 5,600, it ended up being like 10% of the kids were quarantined within 2 weeks, and they had to shut the whole thing down. So I'm gonna put my faith and trust in him. He's gonna pay attention, and we're gonna give people choice, and we're gonna protect our students. So that's really all I wanted to say about that. And, oh yeah, congratulations to everybody who's joining our district this year. That's great to see so many people coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Schwegler. Mr. Abate.
Thank you. Yes, congratulations to our new hires, our assistant principal and our teaching staff. I want to thank the community who came out, spoke eloquently, did a really nice job. It was great to see just a peaceful dialogue and to hear everyone out in an open forum. That was good. I want to first of all, I want to recognize our group here, our cabinet team. I want to thank you, President Dashner, who speaks formally for the board, for all the time that you've put in responding to the community. The communications have been coming in pretty significantly. I want to thank Superintendent Archibald for the same work. That's, the start of a school year is one of the busiest times there is, and you can see from the agenda, Mr. Toth alone has been quite busy trying to fill our positions with the best and the brightest for our kids. So everybody on the panel has a tremendous amount of work to do, and then this COVID business that drops on top of it, and then the communication that drops on top of that. So I know you guys are dancing as fast as you can. Appreciate you all. You're doing a great job. Thank you all, and yeah, that's it. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Abate. Mr. Ertel?
I also want to congratulate the new assistant principal at East and the new hires that we had this week and the new hires coming, I'm sure. Fingers crossed that we'll have enough and everybody hired by the time school starts, which is just around the corner. Thank you to everybody that's come out, whether it's been through email or voice opinions. Like the rest of the board members said, we do read everything. We read everything. If my boss knew how much I was reading at work, I might not have a job anymore, because we get a lot of emails. So thank you to everybody for that. And I do want to say we don't have another board meeting before the start of school. So have a great start of school. I'm sure the kids are double-edged sword excited. School, yay, friends. Homework, yuck. So everybody have a great last few weeks of summer and enjoy the first day of school. And for those of us that are sending our kids away in about a week, maybe I'll have a dry eye by the first day of school here. We'll see. Enjoy the first day of school coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Ertel. Mr. Kennedy?
Well, I think we're ready for the kids to go back to school. That's for sure. I don't have a whole lot to add. Welcome to Matt. Welcome to the group and our new staff. I'd like to thank the community for not just hearing each other and us, but listening to each other and us. And I'm hoping having more understanding about what we're doing, why we're doing it, in the manner that we are. So I very much appreciate the input. We have listened. We too are thankful for your diligence and persistence and thoughtfulness. We appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. My comments for the night, I do want to thank Zachary for standing up. We truly do appreciate hearing from students, and to get in front of a crowd like that takes some guts, and definitely appreciate him for doing that. I also want to say welcome to Mr. Hamill and all the new teachers, including Coach Top, who stood up and then left, but he's got to get back to practice. I do want to thank the parents for communicating with us, for all the messages they send us. Yes, we do read everyone. Sometimes the responses are delayed just because of the volume, and like Mr. Ertel said, trying to keep our employment that's outside of the school board. So, but we will get to all of them, and I do want to stress to people that the emails we get are held with the same regard as public comments. So if people can't make public comments, email is a sufficient way to get a hold of us or to let us know your thoughts. I do want to thank everyone that spoke tonight and attended the meeting for being respectful. I do appreciate that after seeing some videos of some board meetings that look like zoos. I really appreciate the professional nature that we were able to maintain and continue to do so after all our meetings. As to comments about us being masked, where we are right now, and it's the same response we give with emails, is the CDC recommends masking in public places in areas with high transmission rates. Oakland County is in that high transmission rate, so essentially their recommendation is anybody vaccinated or unvaccinated should, and that's should, it's not required, wear masks in indoor spaces. Us as a board, we're going to emulate the behavior we want our students to exhibit in the classroom. So we are wearing masks to exhibit the behavior we would like to see them do. But at the same time, we are using the language of the CDC and the MDHHS, which both say recommend. And many of the other agencies that aren't governmental, like the American Association of Pediatrics, you know, there's a whole list of them. All of them are shoulds, and, you know. So without it being a requirement, it makes sense to allow choice for families. But that choice is going to depend on conditions moving forward. Oakland County Health Department still has not issued guidance yet. We keep hearing tomorrow. We've been hearing that for over a week now. And we don't expect them to issue a public health order, which would carry the weight of mandates, but it's possible. We just don't know yet. As we move forward into the school year, no one knows what's going to happen with COVID. If conditions change, our plan is going to be as fluid as it was last year. And if we need to make changes, Superintendent Archibald will be monitoring our local data, our district cases, what's actually going on in the schools, and he will make changes as necessary to make sure that we're prioritizing education and safety. So I do want to put that warning out there, is just because we're starting the school year as we are, doesn't mean that every single thing is going to stay the same way throughout. It's all going to depend on what happens with things going forward, and I expect it to be fluid. But we'll just have to get there and see what happens. So that was my long-winded comment for the night. I do thank everyone. I thank administration working hard to get ready for a school year. Mr. Toth, thank you for your hiring spree. Good luck in continuing it. I know we have a lot of positions open, I believe, for bus drivers, also for custodians, and probably food service workers as well. So if anybody's looking for an employment, we're offering. So see our website, fill out an application, come to work. So with that, I wish everyone a good night. Enjoy the first day of school. It's coming quick, and I'm ready for some football.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
I'll support that.
Okay, moved by Ms. Younkless-Pierce, supported by Mr. Kennedy. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:17 PM. Have a good night, everyone.